Welcome to Speaking of Spirituality, a podcast to share about the path of spiritual awakening. I'm your host, Amelia McLean, and I am so excited to be showcasing some inspiring stories and exploring some interesting topics, all under the umbrella of spirituality. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So I'd love to start by having you explain what spiritual awakening means to you.
My version of spiritual awakening is discovering other aspects of your being that is not physical, it's not mental, it's not emotional, but it's that plus more. It's etherical, your spiritual self, and rediscovering what that exactly means, because we're not exactly taught what that is too much outside of religion, but I think it's just an awakening to our higher self and to our higher knowings.
Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah.
And so tell me about your spiritual awakening journey and what that looked like for you.
Where do we start? I know it's a long story, but my beginnings really started happening. My awakenings happened when I was having physical symptoms, physical manifestations of issues, like problems. And it had me looking into health and wellness and what I was eating, what I was consuming, and how my emotional state was, and I was a mom of two little ones at this point, when I had my spiritual awakening. My daughter was 4 and my son was about 2. So it was around 2011 or so. And I was having all sorts of epiphanies and realizations, and it really happened through health. I mean, my son was, I discovered, vaccine injured when he was a toddler. And I became aware of that world of the truth, like another version of a truth regarding vaccines and what they have in them and how they affect humans. And it just sent me on a long rabbit hole of discovery. So with that, and then my own physical ailments were basically just like, I was anxious. I was a super anxious person back in the day. I wasn't like aware of my emotional body at all. So I was asking the universe. I actually remember this moment in time. I'll never forget it. I actually said, okay, universe, God, source. And, I'm like, I know there is more that I need to know. And I really, really want to know everything there is that can help me serve myself, my family. Because then, I was on like this self-healing journey and trying to help myself and my son. And it just opened up a whole new avenue of discovery for me. And I became like this truther, this like deep rabbit hole, I just excavated so many holes. And I was, I loved discovery, and I still love discovery. And sharing discoveries, so I became very vocal, sharing information with people who was ever open to hearing anything that resonated and hopefully affected a few.
Yeah, totally. Tell me more about what were the types of physical ailments that you were dealing with, and what did you realize that meant in terms of like your spiritual awakening process?
Oh, good question. Well, after my son was born, I discovered I had celiac disease. And so that's a symbol, I cannot consume gluten. It just doesn't process in my system. And so I was having acid reflux issues. It was sudden onset roughly after my daughter was born. She was about a year old, and I started having like sudden acid reflux. I'm like, what is this? I wasn't able to digest, so it was just upper GI issues. And so I was on medication to help control it. My son was born, and then I had an endoscopy, and then they discovered I had celiac. I'm like, perfect, I can totally go off gluten if that will help heal this issue. So yeah, went down, and I discovered that that was really consuming a ton of food that was not in, like, I couldn't process. So then I discovered something called the MTHFR gene mutation. And roughly half the population has this gene mutation. And it's like on a spectrum. So it's least severe to severe. And this is our detox pathways and if they're open or not. So depending upon the severity of the gene mutation, you're able or not able to detox junk from our systems. So I discovered that I had this gene mutation, and my son and my youngest, they all have it. And so that makes sense as to why we were, feeling like more ill than other people. So it's just a matter of then going on that journey of healing from the inside out.
Yeah. Huh. And then what I just had another question about that, which is that you said that you can't detox things as easily as other people can. Does that include or like glyphosate? Because I know you know about that. Like
Yeah.
how, because I know
Actually,
like just in a normal person, like I've heard that it doesn't just leave your body unless you're like taking something that is, gonna flush it out.
right.
And so is that true, like or is it like, does some of it leave your body if you have the gene type that does allow for detox flow? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine they're all connected.
Yeah.
I imagine that it's connected to those toxins, the glyphosate poisons, recycling within the system when you're not able to detox. And therefore, the systems are just run down into a point of not operating at all. So most likely because I was just, eating everything that was in the supermarket and Big Loaf. That was probably a local brand for me, but um, yeah, it's pretty wild. So my son also had this detox issue. Um, and luckily I became aware of it before he was getting a next round of shots. And I think that he always had lower GI issues ever since he was like a young one, like 9 months old. I'd say I started noticing that lower GI issues started.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe sooner, but
And so, do you think that his vaccine injury was like more severe because of the fact that his body couldn't like detox things, or
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So tell me more about that, and like what did the vaccine injury look like for him, and how did it affect your family and your development on your spiritual awakening journey?
Yeah, yeah. Well, once I discovered like what vaccine injury looks like, I said, wow, well, it's pretty extensive. It can look like anything. Um, but the most obvious is, of course, autism, um, and just nervous system disorders. And he was in preschool at this point. He's about 3, and his instructor, his teacher, had said, "Oh, I think he should be tested to see where he's on the spectrum." And I'm like, well, I don't really want him to be like diagnosed with anything, so I will not have him. I know I just didn't have him diagnosed at all. So I just treated him with the GAPS diet protocol. And that was remarkable. And that's essentially just stripping everything else, everything from the diet besides cooked meat, bone broth, and cooked vegetables. So you're really just healing the gut with a ton of bone broth and protein and fat.
Yeah.
So
And then he got better.
on day 4, yeah. So his symptoms were he wasn't able to hear us when we were speaking to him. He would be in his own little world. He would be at the kitchen table. I would be in the kitchen just right away, right across the way from him. And I'd be like, hey, Garen, and I would say his name and a few times, and he wouldn't be able to like hear me. And my husband thought he actually had a hearing problem. And I said, no, no, he does not. He does not hear us. And so, or he's not aware of us. So on day 4 of this diet, he was very alert, very aware. It was like a whole new kid. It was like his old self.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And so he was on that diet for a year.
amazing.
Mhm.
Wow. That's a fast recovery. 4
Ah,
days.
right.
Well, I guess in a younger person, it's probably, if you're older and have been dealing with, this buildup for years and years, decades, then probably.
Totally. More chronic issues. But yeah, there's still turnarounds when you're older too.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so your spiritual awakening journey, like how did those things affect your, awareness or like your spiritual awakening? Like what impact did that have on you spiritually?
Yeah, well, it just made me do more inner work. It made me realize the work on myself was like just beginning, and in the respect of doing the dietary changes. My stress level was high, just being a newish mom. And I was doing daycare at the time, so it was kind of high stress. So I was able to like then go, you know what, there's so much more emotional work that needs to be done because we all have like this trapped trauma within at some point in our life that we have to look at. And for that, it was coming up for me. So I was finding myself like short tempered and all sorts of really like telltale signs of emotional distress. So I just dove into quantum healing. It's called quantum touch. And then I went into the emotion code, and I filled notebooks with that material, just, clearing stuff from my field. Um, I visited with a shaman a few times, number of like once a year, he would come to visit the area. And so I'd meet with him, and it was just very insightful. And he told me I was a healer. So I just went down the avenue of the healing arts, and healing myself in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very fun, grueling, heartbreaking, and yet expanding experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. And we're going to talk more about the healing arts in a minute, but I really want to know about the relationship with your husband, because I know that
Oh,
uh,
yes.
there was a huge toll taken on that at some point. So tell me
Mhm.
about that, and then like your other family, and if that was affected too by your
Yeah.
new knowledge and your truth sharing.
Right. Right. Yeah. It was such a hard process to actually go through. And I know a lot of people are going through this all the time now. And it's amazing that we're all waking up and we're all coming to these new truths of understanding our reality. But then like 2011, 12, 13, 13 is when my husband really had a hard time with me because I was aware. I mean, he was gone for 6 months in the academy, came back, and I was like having 3 kids by myself for 6 months. And by that time, my youngest was born. And I was just in my spare time, just doing these deep dives into all subjects. Nothing was off limits. And I was having these epiphanies. Like I would be meditating and I would have words just drop into my awareness and I would look them up and I would be like, you've got to be kidding me. What? It'd be another avenue of discovery. And this kept on happening. And my mind was being blown all the time with information, just new truths, new truths. And I couldn't believe most of them, but then of course I did because I intuitively knew that they were aligned with the truth. Um, and this deeper awareness of just knowing. Clear cognizance was really strong at this point. So clear knowing was like, whoa, I feel it in my bones, kind of like, I know this is true. So I was sharing this information, a lot of this information, kind of, I wasn't holding really much back from my husband at this point. And he was like, kind of getting frustrated and he was not understanding where I was coming from. He didn't understand why I was obsessed with like new information like I was. But I'm like, it's so fascinating and exciting, but kind of scary at the same time, because when you realize the world you lived in is not what you thought it was, it's a giant pill to swallow for most people. So breaking down all barriers of belief, I didn't hear, I just let them all go. And so I just kind of knew a lot of things and I was sharing them. And he basically had said, okay, well, he was like the maddest I've ever seen him, but he was like, you need therapy, because I think he thought I was going crazy. Like, but I wasn't. I was just like, it's okay. I'll go to therapy and I'll go to, a family counselor, and I'll talk about my childhood. I could totally redig some of that stuff with someone and clean it all out. And so I did. And it was really healing. And he came to understand that what I was speaking may have been hard for him to hear in the moment, but turned out to be accurate in the end. Like, he came around because of just his own curiosity, his own like, well, geez, is she crazy or is she actually onto something? So he followed through and kind of discovered a lot of these truths his own way. And so that was really helpful. But I knew all along, I'm like, it'll be fine. He has to go through the process of the awakening. And it's kind of like I was pulling him with me, but much to his dismay. But now he's fully aware of a lot of things. And it's really.
So he's like awake now.
Yeah.
And how long was it between when you were like awake and sharing this information with him and he was like, having his emotions about it, and then to when he came around? Like, how long did that go on before he was like, okay, you're not crazy, I understand now? And
About a year. Within a year.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's
I mean, and then as far as the spirituality stuff, is me doing healing work, because at this point I started doing Reiki and hands-on healing, and so he was okay. He was getting aware of it. I mean, more comfortable with the whole process of having healing sessions and what those were all about. And the shaman really helped as well. Normalize it a little bit.
okay. So do you practice your healing work on Garth also?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Oh,
Yeah.
a little guinea pig at home.
I know. Yeah. When he's receptive and he's like, yeah, I'm down for it. And with the kids too. Yeah.
Oh,
I just gave my youngest a session earlier today.
aw, nice. I remember you telling me that before about how you said run energy. You
Mhm.
their energy. That's so cute. So awesome.
Right.
Yeah, tell me more about your healing work. And so you started probably exploring the healing work for yourself on your journey, and then you were like, I need to offer this to other people. Is that kind of how it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a really kind of it's a journey in itself. It's a healing journey that we all are taking. And so when I discovered how much it was helping myself, of course, I wanted to share with others. So yeah, now I'm doing Acasma Quantum Healing energy work, and a master facilitator. So I've gone through all of the coursework, and it's just phenomenal. It's like a newer, higher dimensional, like ascension healing modality. It's really cool because it's like, it's not Reiki. It's different. It's like, I'm a proxy, I'm a conduit of the bridge for the healing to take place in the quantum by our teams of light. So there's a lot of beings involved in this work that are in the quantum, assisting the human.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally into the quantum healing too, as you know.
Yeah.
So fascinating. And it's so cool because it happens instantaneously. That's like my favorite part about it, is like in the quantum, it's just like, it's just immediate. And that's just so exciting, because a lot of other healing takes time, and it's like, you got to wait to feel better. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, yeah, it's so exciting.
Right. Yeah. The shifts happened immediately.
Yeah. And just it feels so good to like be able to help somebody feel immediately better.
Mhm.
So tell me more about your healing work and like how you progressed through the different modalities, because it seems like you've just been acquiring these tools and putting them in your toolbox, and now you have this Acasma, which is like so high level, it feels like. So
Mhm.
like where did you start with the healing modalities and your offerings, and then how did it kind of develop and then get to the Acasma?
Yeah, well, when I was living there in Humboldt, I was doing Reiki nights, and I did that for, gosh, I want to say seems like a year or two. And it closed down right before COVID happened. So I, was getting weekly sessions in, and that was fun, as being, a stay-at-home mom at this point of three little ones. And then COVID happened, and then we discovered we wanted to move out of California. We upped the game plan. We eventually wanted to move out of California, but the whole process of COVID really kind of sprung that forward. And we found that Montana was going to be the place to move to. So we moved there in November of 21. Yeah, so it's been exciting, and we've loved moving out of that space and just into this new space of Montana. I absolutely love it. And here, the month that we moved here, it was actually November 2 years ago, and I discovered that there was something more. I was calling in more, something more for me to offer, because I knew there was something coming and I felt it. And I'm like, I was really at kind of a low point, because I was, in a new space, knew everything, right? But excited about the move, but yet I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? I really want to offer something that's going to be helpful for myself and everyone. And as we go through these ups and downs of the awakening, I mean, it's never like this amazing upward slope all the time. Of course, we have these dips and these lulls of our awareness, our healing path, what we're processing, how we're processing it. So I came across Acasma from a friend who offered a session to me, and I felt it was super different, and it was really relaxing. A lot shifted, and then I started doing the grid of lights. It's a once a month grid, healing grid, that Andrea puts on, which is the founder of Acasma. She puts on every month at the end of the month, and where we do a blessing on the earth. And it's really powerful. So I had really moving experiences for 3 months. And then I'm like, okay, this is something that I need to further discover. And so I started with the first classes, and just never stopped.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you explain in a little bit more detail about what the Acasma means? Like, what does that word mean? And yeah.
Yeah. Acasma actually is the name of Andrea in another now. So it's actually like another space of her, and that's her name. Like, because we're quantum beings, we exist in all timelines, through space and time. And we have other versions, we have other aspects of self in other nows, um, forward and backward in time. And she calls it ancient future.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it's really another higher aspect of herself coming in to assist in this process for humans in 2023. But it came in January of 2020, so right before COVID happened,
Oh yeah, right.
when it really came in for her to offer.
Beautiful.
Perfectly timed.
It's so divine. Oh my,
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing. And so what does the modality like? Can you describe it a little bit in more detail? Like,
Yeah. So really, it is our energy body is being assisted in a session, whether it be in person or over Zoom or remote. because we have also consciousness to consciousness sessions where it's like remote healing. And those are the most popular. I have an Etsy store, and most everyone, that's all they order, and that's all they purchase. So they lay down with a like this recording. It's like a meditation, and in the same time frame, I will send energy to them. They'll listen to this music, and they will go into the quantum and have their own experience. And then I would have that experience in the quantum, visualizing and seeing what's happening in their healing session. And then I give notes to the person afterwards of everything that I took and that I took notes on, that I saw.
Huh.
Yeah. And then a lot of times people resonate and they say, wow, that was so powerful. And that was spot on. Like, those are things I saw, or those are things that I've been like looking at or like being aware of. So it was cool. It's very fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's just one of the other really cool things about working in the quantum, is that you don't have to be with the person.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
So interesting.
So
And so
yeah,
those types of sessions, you have scheduled a time with the person, and
I
so you're
do.
okay.
Yeah. Like, okay, let's meet at 10 a.m. Tuesday morning. And then we would meet at 10 a.m. my time, and then of course adjusted to wherever they are in the world. And then we would, like, just meet in the quantum. I would see their field, I would see their body, and as like a projection, a hologram. And I see beings of light that are working with the person, and I can tell what they're doing if I intend on seeing what's happening within them, how they're being assisted by the quantum beings, the Acasma beings of light. I'll see what's happening, and then I'll go through and just do like a body scan and see what's going on within the systems and aligning everything that I see. And then there's highlights of whatever information wants to come forward from guidance or loved ones. Usually it's a quick hello from someone on the other side. And it's fun when those names are accurate, and I'm like, and you're just open to receiving whatever information. And the more I'm doing it, the more and more trust I'm giving myself, leaning into saying what I hear. So a lot of trust. Mhm.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
so I remember asking you, because I did the session with you, and it was so beautiful, and I felt, like you said, it's so relaxing. And I yeah, I felt really good afterward, and having the confirmation of some of the things that you were talking about was really helpful for me on I felt really good after that, and that day I just had this like new, fresh perspective on my life and stuff. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the quantum sessions are pretty phenomenal, because a lot of times it opens up new aspects of yourself each and every time, of new awareness. So, and that's really what we're going for. We're looking to come back to ourselves, remember more of who we are. And with these sessions, it really does assist us in remembering really our spiritual aspect, which is the, divine connection to source, and our higher self. I mean, and in so many ways, it's about awareness of us tuning into our higher self, becoming more aware of what our higher self is maybe giving us with ideas and thoughts. When your intuition's turned on, if your receptors are turned on, and that's what we're doing, ascending. We're ascending into these higher vibrational states of being. And when we do that, we become more receptive to those higher aspects and incorporating them into our denser human form. But it becomes easier and easier as we lean into wanting to remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah, removing the resistance.
And so it's a form of like channeling, essentially, is what you're doing when you're tapping into the quantum.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Because you're seeing things and are you feeling things also in your body, or just okay?
Yeah. So I feel the grounding. This is an Acasma session. The Acasma session is essentially grounding the being into the earth and reestablishing the root lines of our electric connection to the earth. Because we are like batteries, we're like phone batteries. You know, we have to stay charged or else we get weak and we don't work as well. So the session reconnects the human with their strong root lines into the earth, electrically charged through the being, and then the crown is open, and that's called a soul reconnection. So we're reconnected with our multidimensionality and all of the spaces of our being in the quantum. So it's infinite, really. The information that comes in from these spaces, it's pretty profound. And then we go and connect and open in the heart space, our I am remembrance, with the Acasma star, and that's placed in front of the heart. And then it goes into the heart and it's brought out past the field and becomes a shield of love. And then there is the peace and balance over the mind, and the throat, and the heart center. And this is just basically what it says, adding peace and balance to the busy mind, to speaking your truth, and to having an open heart and tuning into your heart, that heart-brain connection.
I'm getting relaxed just hearing you describe it.
Yeah. I know it works. It works all the time, honestly. So yeah, we could do a session if you wanted, like a super quick session, walk you through one if you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we can just do like maybe like 5-10 minutes. Okay, we're going to take a few deep breaths. And we're going to visualize and bless your root systems below your feet, reaching down into the center of the earth, like tree branches, roots, tree roots. And you want to see these light up and flow down to the center of the earth. And then we're going to have the earth energy come right back up through your feet. And you may feel tingles, the sensation of warmth. And as that moves up your body, I see it at the base of the spine, in the root center. And I'm actually doing some sign language that helps assist move the energy. It's not on camera. And then we go into the sacral, and have it go up into the sacral, and it's clearing as it goes up through the chakras, the solar, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And at the crown, there's an expansion up and out of your headspace, and it's golden white energy that's pouring out, up and out. Expansion and the tingling and at the very top of the head, the crown center. A lot of times, many people feel the tingles at the middle of the head, the crown where it opens. And images come. We're going to have a bar of light, which is called this body scan. It's like higher vibrational technology. And it's going to start above the head and go down through the body. And starting at the brain, going through and clearing new pathways, new neuronic pathways for calm thinking, higher presence, soothing the busyness of the mind. And now at the forehead and the eyes, ears, sinus, jaw, and teeth. I'm feeling lots of clearing through the legs, both on the right and the left side, going down through the feet into the earth. And this is like a full body sensation that rolls through. And with the breath, it helps move the energy. So taking deep breaths, very assisting. Moving down through the neck, clearing any densities that may be in that space. I feel ears popping. There's one ear clearing. Feel clearing in the stomach. Down through the small intestine. This golden light flowing through the body as we're going down, step by step. Large intestine. Clearing of the lungs and the kidneys and the liver. Mainly like the left kidney. It's right there in the back behind the ribs. You feel a release. And down through the hips. And down through the ankles and through the feet. And now, very quickly, we'll go through and put the Acasma star in front of your being, where it's then received and taken into the center of the heart and expands. And I see it this in like this really soft blue and white energy expanding past the heart, past your field, and out into your past your aura. Becomes your field of love. And it's impenetrable, and it could be like a shield of love. And I feel what's releasing through the left foot, the divine feminine. And then we're going to add, I think we've already added peace and balance to the mind, throat, and the heart. But we can And I see your teams of light here. There's so many of them. And they're just grinning. They're so excited to just have this conversation occur, this platform to have discussions, to inspire and impact people into expanding their spirituality. And in the highest degree of love and light and gratitude, we close and seal the space.
Amazing. Oh my God, I feel so relaxed. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's really relaxing.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful. Ah, oh, thank you. Now I really owe you a session.
That was helpful. I mean, it gives a good little tiny blippet of what happens within an hour-long session. So in an hour, there's a lot covered. There's a lot seen. There's a lot heard. So there's lots to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you said you have an Etsy store?
I do. It's called Embracing Essence on Etsy. And I'm building my website as we speak. I want to get that up and running in the next few weeks. So yeah, I gotta get thing going. I'm going to LA in February, doing the Conscious Life Expo with Andrea and a group of us facilitators that want to go. And she's invited, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So it's gonna be really exciting because there's a lot of big names going there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous you get to meet her.
Yeah. It's time for more exposure. It's time for getting out there and sharing this with the world on a bigger stage. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
I did remember a couple of my questions, the channeling one you answered, and then I was just wondering, like, have you found that this modality attracts like a certain type of person, or is it kind of like it varies, or like do you get people who have like no idea really about like spirituality and they're like, what are you doing? And or is it mostly people who are like aware of what you're doing and kind of get it?
Yeah. Most of the people seeking sessions for Etsy or on Etsy are looking for spiritual healing, some sort of quantum healing, and it's becoming more popular. So it's just kind of advertise yourself. And yeah, I do have to mix things up, and I'm looking at changing things on my Etsy page and making more offerings because it really is so diverse. It really does depend on the intention of the healing, because you can do all everything that you can think of like in a normal session, but you can also have a laser focused session and looking at just one thing in particular. You know, I mean, whether it be anxiety or depression or um, just connecting in with a higher self. Um, Vaccine injury, I've helped assist people with injuries as well, especially with working with people with the COVID shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've long had this knowing that it can be helped, assisted, healed. Um, but with the energy work can have a dramatic effect on the healing process after the shot's been done, and they've realized that, oh no, like I've had XYZ happen since then, and what can I do to help myself detox or clear my system. And there's like a physical detox, and then there's an emotional, energetic detox that can be taken place. And it's kind of a two-part system. That's really, really helpful too.
Do you offer any other modalities at the moment, or is that just your main focus?
Yeah, main focus. yeah, just it's really all encompassing. So it's really quite amazing what it can do. I mean, it can activate dormant gifts. It can activate, that's basically dormant strands of your DNA. It's healing and turning on in the quantum for us to have these more like broader awarenesses of our capacity and going through the interests. And like my art has kind of gone through the roof. Like my interest in doing art has always been there, but my skill level has increased since acquiring the skill,
Really? How? Tell me
this
more.
modality.
Interesting.
Yeah, like just drawing, for example. Like I never really could draw that well, but now I'm like, wow, I can kind of draw. That's really cool. And painting. So yeah, I'm
Huh.
doing more of that these days.
Rad. That's awesome.
Yeah, I made actually a drum for our friend Allie.
Oh, I saw a picture of that, I think on Facebook or something. Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
amazing. Yeah. What do you attribute that to? Why do you think that it has impacted your artistic abilities?
I just think it's more of like when we're aligning more of our true nature, when we're following our true nature, we're going to be inspired to do things that are in alignment with our natural gifts. So we're pursuing those things because we're in maybe an intrigued state of mind, or you're more open state of mind. Oh, maybe I should pick up a pencil and start drawing. You know, it's just following through with more creative aspects of ourselves. And I think once we reach that level of healing ourselves and becoming more aware and trying, the self-love journey, like we're all on, on this path, the more we love ourselves, the more we give ourselves the opportunity to find these gifts, and they just kind of blossom.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share about your spiritual awakening journey or about the work that you're doing or anything?
Well, it's it's really, really a fun process that can be very disheartening and challenging at times because we all have these spaces of clearing. Things come up too clear, and they come in various ways. They could be physical ailments, they could be emotional ailments, mental ailments, and I know we all go through these phases, and it's just a matter of helping people through. I love helping people through this process of just showing them that, there is hope. There is like a lot of amazing things to come, just with you just stay true to yourself and stay on the path of healing, um, because it gets brighter and brighter. Because I mean, back in the day, I was like in this very dark cave. But, it was super dense. It was really, really quite a dense experience. And it was really challenging. Um, but perseverance, and I just love helping others see that there's so much more with this self-healing process and doing the energy work, and becoming facilitators if they want to. But it's just keeping on, because there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, beautiful. Well, what a beautiful place to end. It's been so nice talking with you, and thank you so much for sharing everything. And yeah, you're just a beautiful, bright, shining light. And yeah, you keep on shining.
Well, happy to be here. Thank you for having me on, Amelia.
Yeah, thanks so much, Amy.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Speaking of Spirituality. If you'd like to connect with me personally or book a session for Quantum Soul Alchemy, you can find me on Instagram at Ascending with Amelia. Have a beautiful day.